أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بعروة وثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم. الله ولي الذين آمنوا يخرجهم من الظلمات إلى النور والذين كفروا أولياؤهم الطاغوت يخرجونهم من النور إلى الظلمات أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر لربه لكنود وإنه على ذلك لشهيد وإنه لحب الخير لشديد. أفلا يعلم إذا بعثر ما في القبور وحصل ما في الصدور إن ربهم بهم يومئذ لخبير. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحى لها يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. التين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون. فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم حاكمين بلى. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. صلوات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لم يكن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين منفكين حتى تأتيهم البينة رسول من الله يتلو الصحف مطهرة فيها كتب قيمة وما تفرق الذين أوتوا الكتاب إلا من بعد ما جاءتهم البينة وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء أو يقيموا الصلاة ويؤتوا الزكاة فذلك دين القيمة. إن الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب والمشركين في نار جهنم خالدين فيها أولئك هم شر البرية. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أولئك هم خير البرية جزاؤهم عند ربهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه ذلك لمن خشي ربه. صدق الله العظيم. صلوات. صلوات. محمد. صلوات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبت يدا أبي لهب وتب ما أغنى عنه ماله وما كسب سيصلى نارا ذات لهب وامرأته حمالة الحطب في جيدها حبل من مسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات. Please welcome Maulana Syed Ahmed Al-Qazwini to the minbar by reciting a very loud Nara Salawat.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين صلى الله عليك يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله الحسين. Peace be upon you, أو غريب أو مظلوم أو شهيد of Karbala. May Allah grant us all His ziyarah in this life and His shafa'ah in the next life. Illuminate your hearts and majalis with a loud salawat for Muhammad and Al Muhammad. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the last few nights we have been discussing this question. Why was Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam the only Imam of Ahlul Bayt to revolt against the zalim of his time? None of the other Imams revolted. The other Imams, as we said, all followed a policy of taqiyya. They practiced patience. They would stay in their houses and would not formally object to the tyrants of their time. The only one that revolted against the zalim of his time was Imam Hussein alayhi salam against Yazid, which ended in the martyrdom of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And then we said that there are three different opinions between our scholars on what makes Imam Hussein unique, different than the other Imams. Why only Hussein revolted and all the other Imams never revolted? Because if it is a duty to revolt against the zalimeen, why didn't the other Imams follow the duty? And if it's not the duty, if it's the duty of the Imam to stay at home and practice taqiyya, then why did Imam Hussein go against that? So we mentioned three opinions. The first opinion, we spoke about that, and that focuses on the character of Yazid. We said Imam Hussein revolted against Yazid based on the first opinion because Yazid was exceptionally evil. that he had exceeded all the boundaries and he could no longer practice taqiyya and patience with Yazid. And we spoke about that and critiqued the first opinion. Last night we spoke about the second opinion. We presented the second opinion that believes Imam Hussein never even revolted against Yazid. Then what happened? Imam Hussein alayhi salam simply refused to give bay'ah. Yazid says, if you don't give bay'ah, I will kill you. And that's why he was killed, because he refused to give bay'ah. Or else he had no plans of any revolution. He had no plans of any uprisings. He was similar to all the other imams. Don't get involved in the politics and stay away from the zalimeen. But if they want my bay'ah, I cannot give my bay'ah. That's why he was killed. That was the second opinion that I presented last night. The third and final opinion that I will present, and is the opinion that I believe is the closest to the truth. I say the closest because only Allah knows the true reasons. But based on my historical analysis and research of the events of Karbala and the words of Imam Hussein and what happened and the circumstances, the third opinion seems to be the closest to the truth. Why was Imam Hussein the only Imam that revolted? The third opinion says that Imam Hussein was the only Imam out of the other 11 Imams to revolt against the zalim of his time, because Imam Hussein was the only Imam to find supporters that were willing to die for him. We mentioned over and over again the past few nights that the Imams of Ahlul Bayt followed a policy of taqiyya, meaning patience. Stay in your house, do not publicly oppose the government, do not challenge the government, do not make an uprising against the government. The question is why? Why wouldn't the Imam speak up against the zalimeen and lift the sword and go fight them? If this is their position given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the key question. The answer lies in this. The answer is that Rasulullah, as I will present inshallah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, sunnah, his sunnah was that any time you have supporters, this is when you fight. But when you don't have supporters, you practice patience and taqiyya. This was the sunnah of Rasulullah. So they were following in the footsteps of Rasulullah. And all the Imams of Ahlul Bayt, excluding Imam Hussein, did not find supporters for their cause. They did not find people that were willing to die with them against the zalim. Or else the Imams were not afraid of going to the battlefield and fighting the zalim. But it was the sunnah of Rasulullah and the commandment of Rasulullah that when you don't have supporters, you do not rise against the zalimeen of your time. Now you may say the later Imams, Imam al-Baqir, al-Imam al-Sadiq, they did not have Shia, they did not have companions. They had thousands of companions, they had thousands of supporters. There is a difference, brothers and sisters, and I alluded to this last night. There's a difference between a lover of Ahlul Bayt and someone that is willing to give his life for Ahlul Bayt. Everyone here is a lover of Ahlul Bayt. But how many of us are willing to give our lives for Ahlul Bayt? We say it easily on the tongue, but when it comes to reality, are we up to that challenge? Remember last night I mentioned, I cited 4 sources, 4 individuals. They told Imam Hussein about the people of Kufa, their hearts are with you. They love you. You're the grandson of the Prophet. But their swords are against you. Why? Because Ibn Ziyad and Yazid pay people. They buy them. They buy them, and that's why they will betray you. So having lovers does not mean that these individuals are people that you can rely on. The Imams of Ahlul Bayt did not have the loyal supporters that they could rely on to revolt against the zalimeen. That's why they practice taqiyya, and that's why you find that they practice patience. Let's analyze, begin with Imam Ali alayhi salam. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam were always attacked, the Shia, that if you believe Imam Ali was the rightful Khalifa and appointed by God after Rasulullah died, why did he not go after his haqq of Khilafah? How many of us have been challenged with this? Do we know how to answer? You say Imam Ali was the rightful Khalifa of Rasulullah. Why didn't he challenge them? Why didn't he fight them if he's the rightful Khalifa of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam? Many times we are posed with this Objection. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, the warrior who fears no one. Why did he not fight against the Zalimeen when they took his haqq? He didn't fight. That means he had no haqq. This is the objection that what? The objection that we see many times we face. Now, what's the answer to this objection? What's the answer to this misconception? Before Rasulullah died, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam sat with Imam Ali one day. The book of Sulaym ibn Qais and Al-Ihtijaj both narrate this. They say the Prophet told Imam Ali to come. And then the Prophet began to tell him of what will happen after he dies. He told him, Ya Ali, after I die, my ummah, my companions will conspire against you. And they will deny you your right of haqq, and they will choose someone else to be the Khalifa. Imam Ali, the news is broken to him. How would you expect Imam Ali to react? You and I would expect that Imam Ali is the warrior. He would tell Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, I will destroy them. I will not let them come near Khilafah because this is my haqq from Allah. But look at the submission of Imam Ali to Rasulullah. This is what makes him unique out of all the Sahaba. He was like a servant, a soldier to Rasulullah. As soon as he hears that, what does he ask Rasulullah? He asks him, Ya Rasulullah, when that happens, what should I do? He seeks the opinion of Rasulullah. He would never make a decision without making sure Rasulullah is the one that's telling him. So he tells him, Ya Rasulullah, when that happens, when that day comes, and they deny me the haqq of khilafah, what should I do? What is my obligation? This is Imam Ali alayhi salam in his submission. That's why he says in Nahjul Balagha, I was the closest to Rasulullah. And then in one part he says, I would follow Rasulullah like a small baby camel would follow its mother. That means I was a soldier to Rasulullah. Never leave him. Whatever he tells me, I would say, yes, my master, Ya Rasulullah. So he tells Rasulullah, what should I do? The Holy Prophet gives him the answer. And this answer is the key to this question that we've been discussing. Rasulullah tells Amir al-Mu'mineen this, listen carefully. He says, Ya Ali, when that happens, if you found supporters that are willing to fight for you and die for you, then declare war against them. Fight them and do not let them deprive you of your haqq. But however, if you saw that you have no supporters, then I order you to have patience, Ya Ali. Taqiyya, Ya Ali. This was what? The will of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Amir al-Mu'mineen has these words in his mind that a day will come when Rasulullah dies, they will conspire against me. So I have to see, do I have companions? Do I have supporters that I can rely on or not? Imam Ali alayhi salam, after Rasulullah died, many people think he just went and he sat in his house. No! There are two reports of what happened. The first report we find in the book of Al-Ihtijaj, once again in Sulaym ibn Qais. Imam Ali alayhi salam was asked one day, why didn't you go after your haqq of khilafah if Allah gave this to you? He told the people, I did go after my haqq. Who told you I didn't? He said that after Rasulullah died, the Prophet told me, if you find supporters, then what? Then fight. So I went on a mission to what? To gather supporters, recruit and mobilize as many supporters as I can. So he says, I took the hand of Fatima and my children Hassan and Hussein to show them that we are the household of Rasulullah. And I went to each door of the Muhajirin and Ansar, the Sahaba. And I personally knocked on the door. And I asked them, do you not remember Ghadir? And you see what's happening now? Will you not join me so that we fight for my haqq? Imam Ali says, I was able to get the word of 40 companions. Think Imam Ali didn't go after his haqq? He went after his haqq. He says 40 companions, the hadith says. They said, yes, Ya Ali, we will fight for you and we will never give bay'ah to anyone else, even if we die. Imam Ali says, fine. This is a word. He has to see action, right? All of us right now, we claim so many things. If I was with Imam Hussein, I would have given my soul. When Imam Mahdi comes, this. Speaking and making claims, lip service is very easy. You have to show your actions. So what happens? Imam Ali says the next day, I tell these 40 individuals, tomorrow, to show that you are sincere, meet me at a specific location, bring your swords, and shave your heads. Meaning that's it, you're willing to die. You're soldiers for Imam Ali. Imam Ali says, I went the next day. Out of the 40 people that promised to come, how many people show up? One hadith, variation of this hadith, says only 3 people. 37, they're nowhere to be found. Another hadith says 4. The most I saw in one hadith, 5. Who were those 5? He says, I went to see, let's take the 5, the variation that says 5 the most. Salman al-Farisi, Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, al-Miqdad ibn al-Aswad, you have Ammar ibn Yasir, and Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awam. Az-Zubayr, unfortunately, who was one of the strongest supporters of Imam Ali, who had such a terrible ending fighting against Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. He says, I only see these 5. Where are the other 35? So he says, you know what? Maybe they were busy. Maybe they had something to do. Maybe they forgot. He says, the second night I went to their doors again. Didn't you promise me you'll come? Why didn't you come? Forgive us, Ya Ali, we forgot. They made up excuses. But tomorrow we're going to come for sure. Imam Ali once again goes the second day holding his sword. Imam Ali wants to fight. But the Prophet tells him, don't fight by yourself. And I'll explain why can't Imam Ali. Because this is a question in the minds of many people. Why can't Imam Ali fight by himself with 3 people? This will come inshallah. Imam Ali, the second day, he takes a sword. He goes and he waits. Once again, the same 3 to 5 people join. They show up. Nobody else shows up. Imam Ali, la ilaha illallah. He realizes that he's being abandoned. He's being abandoned by the ummah. So he goes for a 3rd time, so that they have no excuse. Maybe once you had an excuse. Maybe twice you had an excuse. But 3 times? The 3rd night, he goes, oh, forgive us, Ya Ali, for sure tomorrow. After the 3rd time he went, he saw those same 3 to 5 people. Imam Ali knew that this is where he realized he has to practice patience. Why? Because he has no supporters. He has no supporters to fight. And the will of Rasulullah was that, Ya Ali, if you don't have enough supporters, then you cannot fight. How many supporters did Imam Ali need? This is a very logical question. How many did he need? 1,000? 5,000? 100? 50? 40? There are some ahadith that indicate Imam Ali just needed 40. If he had 40, he would have fought even if he was killed. These ahadith, there's 2 of them. One of them, the book of Sulaym ibn Qais and al-Ihtijaj, they mention it. They say that when they came to the house of Imam Ali and they tried to force him to give the bay'ah, Imam Ali, he said, Wallahi, had those 40 people came, Wallahi, I would fight you. But because they betrayed me, I cannot fight you. So 40. He was only looking for 40, but only 3, 4, or 5 showed up. So this is one incident. Many years later, when he became the Khalifa, someone asked him. He asked him, why didn't you ask for your haqq when it was taken away from you? He said the story that for 3 days they kept on, promising, they never came. And then he swore by the Lord of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He says, I swear by the Lord of Muhammad, had those 40 people come, wallahi, I would have lifted the sword and fought. But those people didn't come. And that's why I didn't fight. I did not have the supporters. This is why Imam Ali, he tells us he did not fight, because he did not have supporters. There's another hadith that I saw. It's interesting. This hadith shows not even 40. The Imam just needed 20. This is narrated in the book of Al-Ayyashi, one of our Shia scholars. In this book, he says that when Imam Ali was attacked and they tried to force him to give the bay'ah, Imam Ali looked towards the sky and he said, Ya Allah, you are my witness that Rasulullah, your messenger, ordered me that if I find just 20 companions, even that is enough for me to fight. And wallahi, I do not have even 20 supporters that are willing to fight for me. And then he read this verse where Allah says, "En yakun minkum 20 sabiruna yaghlibu mi'atayn." If there are, the Quran says, if there are 20 patient ones amongst you, you can overcome 200 individuals by the will of Allah. But he says, I did not even have the 20. Once again, only how many? 3 to 5. So Imam Ali alayhi salam did not challenge them. He did not fight them, go after his haqq physically with a sword, because he was abandoned by the people. He was not supported by the people. He did not have the 20 or the 40 individuals that he could rely on. Yes, 40 people would promise, but how many of them were actually willing to place their lives on the line for Ali ibn Abi Talib? 3 to 5 only. How saddening is that, brothers and sisters? This is when Imam Ali realizes that he has to have patience. He says in one of the sermons of Nahjul Balagha, وَطَفِقْتُ أَرْتَئِي بَيْنَ أَنْ أَصُولَ بِيَدٍ جَذَّا أَوْ أَصْبِرَ عَلَى طَخْيَةٍ عَمْيَا. He says, after Rasulullah, I saw I have 2 options. Number 1, I fight without an arm, meaning all by myself and with just 3 or 4 people. Or I have patience. I have patience because Rasulullah had ordered me to have patience if I have no companions and no supporters. He says, فَرَأَيْتُ أَنَّ الصَّبْرَ عَلَى هَاتَا أَحْجَى. Then when I saw I had no companions, I realized that I have to have patience and I cannot go after the Khilafah. And then he says, فَصَبَرْتُ وَفِي الْعَيْنِ قَذَى وَفِي الْحَلْقِ شَجَى. Wallahi, these are such disheartening. They break the heart. These words of Imam Ali. He says, then I had patience. And it was so difficult for me to see all that dhulm, and I had to have patience. He said that it was like a thorn was in my eye and a bone was stuck in my throat. Imagine there's a bone stuck in your throat and a thorn in your eye, and you have to just live every day with that pain. Imam Ali says that's the pain that I had to live because I was abandoned. I didn't have enough companions. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says this, and this happens in the beginning. After Uthman is killed, the Muslims come to Imam Ali. They tell him, Ya Ali, now we want you to be our Khalifa. Now we will support you. Now we will fight for you. So Imam Ali alayhi salam, he accepts their offer of becoming Khalifa. Some people came to Imam Ali, they said, Ya Ali, so it turns out that you're looking for dunya, for Khilafah. Imam Ali went on the minbar. He said, La wallahi, not for one day was I after Khilafah. He said, the only reason I accepted to be the Khalifa is because I have supporters now. After Uthman, I have supporters. And then he said this, وَالَّذِي فَلَقَ الْحَبَّ. This is in Nahjul Balagha. وَبَرَأَ النَّسَمَ لولا حضور الحاضر وقيام الحجة بوجود الناس ولوجدتم دنياكم عندي أزهد من عفطة عنز. Allahu Akbar. What beautiful words. Imam Ali says, the only reason I accepted because I have supporters. Because they have come and told me, we want you to be our Imam. I can't tell them no when they have come and asked me to become the Imam. He says, if it wasn't for the supporters, I could care less about Khilafah. Khilafah to me has less, he says, less worth. Just the fact that I become the ruler, I become the Khalifa, has less value than the sneeze of a goat. It's not about power. It's not about the fact that I want to rule. I don't care about ruling. If I wanted to rule, I would have went after it after Rasulullah died. But now I cannot say no because the people have come to me. This is the difference why Imam Ali alayhi salam was patient in the beginning, but now he decided to become the Khalifa. And that's why there was always this question that was posed against Imam Ali. That why did you not go after Khilafah when the Prophet died, but when Muawiyah tried to take Khilafah from you, when Aisha, Talha, Zubair waged war against you, when the Khawarij waged war against you, you did fight them. What happened? Why were you patient there, but all of a sudden waging wars here? And in fact, one of the companions of Imam Al-Rida alayhi salam was asked about this. One of the companions of Imam Rida was asked about this. He gives a beautiful answer, and this answer serves as a powerful answer to anyone that says, why does Imam Ali even need supporters? Imam Ali, don't we see him as the lion of Allah? He's the one that took down Amr ibn Abdawud. You've heard the story of Khandaq, right? Who was Amr ibn Abdawud? They say Amr ibn Abdawud, in one night, he killed 1,000 men. Amr ibn Abdawud, this is the mighty warrior he was. That's why everyone feared him, because he had such a notorious reputation of being a mighty warrior. They say 1,000 people attacked him all by himself one night in Yalamlam, And he destroyed all of them all by himself, single-handedly. So everyone feared Amr ibn Abd. Imam Ali, the young man he's not afraid of Amr ibn Abd, who the Sahaba were trembling in front of. He went and he killed him, destroyed him. Imam Ali was the one who lifted the door of Khaybar, the gate of Khaybar, that 40 men could not lift. You don't think he could have taken out those people, his enemies, after when they took the Khilafah from him? So why does he need supporters? Now, if someone makes this objection, Al-Imam Al-Rida gives a beautiful answer. It's the first time I read this hadith. Such a beautiful answer. If someone tells you, why did Imam Ali need supporters? You say he's a mighty warrior. He's not afraid of anyone. Imam Ali's not afraid. Imam Ali says in one hadith, Wallah labnu Abi Talib anas bil maut min al-tifli ila thadi ummah. He says, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Wallahi, looks forward to death and yearns for death more than a child for its mother's milk. See the child when it's hungry? And it's looking for how I look forward to death. Imam Ali is not afraid of death. So why didn't Imam Ali single-handedly fight against them then? Al-Imam Al-Rida gives the answer. Beautiful answer. He tells one of his companions. He tells him the reason why Imam Ali alayhi salam did not fight against them was because he followed the sunnah of Rasulullah. The companion said, what do you mean the sunnah of Rasulullah? Al-Imam Al-Rida told him, Rasulullah, when he was in Mecca for 13 years, was he not abused? Was he not insulted? Was he not oppressed? Did they not kill his companions, the parents of Ammar ibn Yasir? Did they not throw rocks at him? Did they not bother him such that he said, Ma udhiya nabiyyun mithla ma udhit? No prophet was bothered like me. How did the prophet react? The prophet would only react with patience. Every time they would go and they would assault Rasulullah, a verse comes down. Ya Rasulullah, fasbir kama sabara ulul azm. Sabr, sabr, sabr. Many verses in Mecca. When Rasulullah is alone and he has no companions, only a few companions. When Rasulullah was weak and he had no companions, Allah orders him to practice sabr, right? Now I ask you, who's more brave, Rasulullah or Imam Ali? Who? Rasulullah. Couldn't Rasulullah single-handedly take a sword and defeat Quraysh? So why was he just sabr, sabr, sabr? Rasulullah is more brave than Imam Ali. But for 13 years he does nothing. He does not retaliate. Just sabr, sabr, sabr. In fact, after 13 years, he fled Medina. He fled Mecca. And he went to Medina, so that they don't kill him. Is Rasulullah all of a sudden afraid? The sunnah of Rasulullah, Al-Imam Al-Rida says, that when the Prophet is weak, he has no companions, then he has to practice sabr. You don't retaliate. When he goes to Medina, he has now supporters. He has the Ansar. Now the companions, 100, 200, 500, 1,000. This is when the verses of jihad come down. Now fight Quraysh. Now fight the people of Mecca. He says this is the sunnah of Rasulullah. When he's weak, he does not fight. When he has supporters, he fights. Why do you expect otherwise from Imam Ali? Imam Ali, when he's weak, he doesn't fight. When he has power, he fights. This is the sunnah of Rasulullah. See the answer? Wallahi, it's such a beautiful answer from Imam Al-Rida alayhi salam. So Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, brothers and sisters, the reason why he did not fight when his haqq was taken was because he did not have the supporters that he could rely on. Or else, if he had those supporters, he only needed 40, or according to another hadith, only 20. He would have never stayed silent. Now, this is with Imam Ali. With the other Imams of Ahlul Bayt, the same thing applies. Every Imam of Ahlul Bayt, if they had a certain amount of supporters, they would fight against the zalimeen of their time. Let me share one hadith about Al-Imam Al-Sadiq. One of the companions of Al-Imam Al-Sadiq was a man by the name of Sudayr Al-Sayrafi. He comes one day to greet the Imam, to meet him, and he's frustrated. He's frustrated at the Imam. He tells him, Ya Aba Abdullah, oh Imam Sadiq, La yasa'uka al-qu'ud. You can no longer stay in your house and practice taqiyya and sabr. You have to make an uprising against Bani al-Abbas. Al-Imam Sadiq says, why? He tells him, because you have so many Shia. You have so many supporters. So Sudair understood this what? Equation. Understood this law. That if the Imam has supporters, he cannot stay in his house. He has to revolt. And then he told the Imam al-Sadiq, Wallahi, had your grandfather Ali ibn Abi Talib, if he had your Shia, he would have never stayed silent. They would have never been able to take the Khilafah from him. Because Imam Ali only had 4 or 5 people. But you have so many companions. You have so many people to rely on. And Imam al-Sadiq tells him, oh Sudair, how many people are they, the ones that you're talking about, my Shia, that I can rely on? He tells him 100,000. And Imam al-Sadiq says, 100,000? He says, yes, even more, 200,000. And Imam al-Sadiq says, 200,000. He says, half the world. He starts to exaggerate, basically telling him that everyone will join you. And Imam al-Sadiq wanted to teach him a lesson. He told him, Sudair, come with me. They went on a mule or on a donkey, and he took him to Yanbu, an area close to Medina, Yanbu, where it was all farms. Sudair says it was the time for Salah. We prayed. After Salah, we saw a young man and he had some goats. He was taking care of some goats in that farm. He says, Al-Imam al-Sadiq then told me, Wallahi ya Sudair, if I had companions that I could rely on, as many as these goats, Wallahi, I would take out the sword and revolt. Sudair says, I went to the goats to count how many are they. He says, I counted them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Al-Imam al-Sadiq tells him, Wallahi, if I had 17 companions like Salman, like Abu Dhar, like Al-Miqdad, like the companions of Hussein, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, Muslim ibn Aus, Wallahi, I would revolt. But I don't have anyone. Yes, 100,000, these are people, lip service. Lip service. That's why there's a famous story. When a group came to see Al-Imam al-Sadiq, they told him, we are of your Shia. The Imam said, I will not see them. They said, why? He sent a message to them. He said, because you said you are my Shia. Then what should we say? Say, we love you. We are your lovers, but do not say you're my Shia. Being a Shia is a very high position. A Shia is like Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. A Shia is like Salman, is like Abu Dhar, is like Ammar ibn Yasir, Khuzayma ibn Thabit, Uwais, Sa'sa'a ibn Sawhan, Hujr ibn Adi. These are the Shia of Ahlul Bayt. Not like me. Not like me when my salah is all, I don't even understand what I'm doing, and I indulge in haram and ghiba, and I backbite, and I violate the rights of other individuals, and I am so indulged in the dunya, I call myself a Shia. They said, okay, we are your lovers. The Imam said, Ahlan wa sahlan, come, now I will greet you and accept you. Al-Imam al-Sadiq said, I don't have even 17 Shia, meaning the true Shia. And every Imam would say similar things. And the same thing, brothers and sisters, applies to Sahib al-Asri wa Zaman. May Allah hasten his reappearance. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Second salawat for Sahib al-Zaman. Many people ask, why doesn't the Imam reappear? He has millions of Shia. That's exactly what the people of Al-Imam al-Sadiq used to say. You have 200,000 Shia. How many true Shia does Imam al-Mahdi have? How many Habib ibn Mudahirus does Imam Mahdi have? How many Muslim ibn Awsajas does he have? How many Abu Dhars does he have? How many Amr ibn al-Hamaq al-Khuza'i does he have? How many Malik al-Ashtars does he have? 2 hadiths I've seen, one from Al-Imam al-Sadiq, one from Al-Imam al-Jawad. They both say, if Al-Imam al-Mahdi, when he goes in the ghaibah, they spoke about the ghaibah, if he finds 313, you've heard this, loyal companions like Salman and Abu Dhar, the Imam would right away come. The Imam would reappear right then. So if we notice, brothers and sisters, today the Imam is not coming, what's the problem? The Imam, why is he not coming out and revolting? The same reason Imam Ali didn't revolt in the beginning. Because he does not find those loyal supporters that he can rely on. Isn't this a travesty, brothers and sisters? Hundreds of millions of Shia, but yet the Imam cannot find the 313 because the Imam wants them to be the true Shia, like Habib ibn Mudahir, like Malik al-Ashtar and Salman. All the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam could not find supporters. That's why they did not fight. The only exception was whom? Imam Hussein alayhis salam. Imam Hussein, during the time of Muawiyah, those 10 years before Yazid comes to power, he does not revolt. Why? He doesn't have supporters. They're either all killed by Muawiyah, imprisoned, or the others he buys them, or some of them are afraid. He does not have supporters, so what does Imam Hussein do? He follows the sunnah of Rasulullah, the sunnah of Imam Ali. Patience, taqiyya, because I don't have supporters. All of a sudden, Muawiyah dies. Yazid comes to power. Yazid, we said, is a public drunkard. And he is public about his what? About his sins, and he turns Khilafah into, we said, into a nightclub. The Muslims now are outraged. This, khalas, they say, this we cannot accept anymore. So now, because they're outraged and they're furious at Yazid, they begin to send letters to Imam Hussein. You see now how I'm connecting all the dots of the last 4 nights? They begin to send letters from Kufa. 12,000 letters Imam Hussein gets. From Kufa and Basra, not just Kufa. Also some of them from Basra. Some of the companions that fought with Imam Hussein and were killed came from Basra. They sent letters and then they went. They did not betray Imam Hussein. So Imam Hussein is overwhelmed with thousands of letters. Come to Al-Kufa and we will fight against the Zalim Yazid. Imam Hussein alayhi salam sees that what he is being called by what? Supporters. Can the Imam just ignore them and say, you know what, I know you guys will betray me? He can't do that. Just like Imam Ali. Imam Ali alayhi salam, when those individuals, the 40 people, they promised him, he knew that they would break their promise, correct? But yet he had to go. Why? Because if he wouldn't go, they would have said, it's your fault. You never came. So if Imam Hussein would have never sent Muslim ibn Aqil to Kufa, if he would have never sought to go to Kufa, they would have told him, Ya Aba Abdullah, it's your fault. We sent you letters. We invited you. We were ready to support you, but you're the one who never came. And they would have always forever used that against Imam Hussein. So the Imam had no choice but to go because he was being invited. Al-Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, when he sought out and he left Mecca, he went to Kufa. What was his goal? What was he trying to do? Just run away from Bay'ah? Remember the second opinion last night? No, brothers and sisters, I do not agree with this. Imam Hussein alayhi salam was revolting against Yazid's injustice. Why? What's the proof to this? Abi Mikhnaf, remember Abi Mikhnaf? We said one of the most recognized historians of his time, who lived during the time of Al-Imam Al-Baqir, Al-Imam Al-Sadiq. He writes in his book, in the Maqtal of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he says that Al-Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam said these powerful words, telling the people of Kufa why he's going to Iraq. That he was asked, why are you going to Iraq? Did he say, I'm just running away from the bay'ah of Yazid? No. He said these powerful words. He said, because Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said in one hadith, Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. من رأى منكم سلطانا جائرا مستحلا لحرام الله ناكثا لعهد الله. He said, whoever, the Prophet says, whoever sees a zalim, a tyrant ruler, who is going against the laws of Allah, who is committing haram, who is going against the sunnah of Rasulullah, and he is oppressing the people that he is ruling, وَلَمْ يُغَيِّرْ بِقَوْلٍ أَوْ فِعْلٍ, and you do nothing about it, you stay silent, كان حقا على الله أن يدخله مدخله, then Allah Azza wa Jal will take you and put you with that zalim. Why? Because you were silent. Why didn't you speak up against dhulm? Even if you were to be killed, you have to speak up against injustice. So Imam Hussein says in his letter, he tells the people of Al-Kufa, this is why I'm going to Iraq. Because I want to what? I want to stand up against the injustice of Yazid. Because Rasulullah says, if I stay quiet, that means I'm an accomplice. So this is on one hand. And then he says this, he continues, and he says, and you know, O people of Kufa, what Yazid is doing. You know his tyranny, you know his corruption, you know how he's playing with the religion of Allah, and you know that I am entitled to Khilafah because I am the grandson of Rasulullah and because I am the successor of my brother Hassan. So is it what? Is it just about escaping bay'ah? No. Imam al-Hussein makes it clear that I'm revolting against injustice. Now, was Imam Hussein seeking power? Was he trying to take down Yazid? No. See, this is the delicate point that we have to understand. Imam al-Hussein was revolting, but he was not trying to take down Yazid. He knew he can't take him down. He knew that the people of Kufa would betray him. Aslan, he was told by Rasulullah, he was informed by the Prophet that he will be killed in Karbala. So why would he start a revolution that he knows is going to fail? Imam al-Hussein was revolting to show the truth. To what? To send a message that when you see injustice, you stand against it. So that he sets a precedent that others can follow after him. He had no intention. He didn't want to topple Yazid. He knew he couldn't. The Prophet came. It's a famous hadith Al-Allama Al-Majlisi mentions in Bihar that before he left Medina and he went to Mecca, he went to the grave of Rasulullah and he saw a dream. The Prophet told him in his dream, my dear grandson Hussein, it won't be too long before you will be killed in the land of Karbala by my own ummah. You will be killed. Your blood will be shed there while you are thirsty. So if the Prophet is telling him you're going to be killed, why would he try to take down the government of Yazid? He knows it's not going to work. And in fact, Syed ibn Tawus, the famous alim from 900 years ago, he mentions when Imam Hussein left Mecca to Al-Iraq, he told the people why he's leaving. He said these words. He said, خُطَّ الْمَوْتُ عَلَى جِيدِ ابْنِ آدَمَ مَخَطَّ الْقِلَادَةِ مِنْ جِيدِ الْفَتَاةِ. Allahu Akbar. I don't know if you understand the Arabic, just the Arabic eloquence of it, how he articulates it is wonderful, brothers and sisters. He says that death surrounds the human being just like a necklace that surrounds the neck of a girl, of a woman. You see how the necklace surrounds your neck from every angle? He says death surrounds the human being from every angle. It will come after you and take you just like a girl that is wearing a necklace. And then he says, وَمَا أَوْلَهَنِي إِلَىٰ أَسْلَافِي اشْتِيَاقِ يَعْقُوبِ إِلَىٰ يُوسُف. And he says, how much do I miss my forefathers, my father, my predecessors, Hassan, Imam Ali, my mother Fatima, Rasulullah, and the same way that Yaqub used to yearn for his son Yusuf, I yearn to see my family that have died and left me. And then he said these words. He said, كأني بأوصالي تقطعها عسلان الفلوات بين النواويس وكربلاء. He foretold of what will happen. He says it's as if I can see my body ripped into pieces by wolves, human wolves. Where? In Karbala. He's telling the people why he's going to Kufa, why he's going to Iraq, but he's telling them that I'm going to get killed. Does that mean he's going after power? He knows he's going to get killed. He's not going to reach power. The Imam had another objective. It wasn't to reach power. It's not to rule. It's to what? Send a message that I cannot stand silent against the Zalimeen. Now Imam Hussein alayhi salam then says, whoever wants to join me and wants to give his life, then I will leave tomorrow to Al-Iraq. So Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam revolted against injustice. It wasn't just to what? Go away, just run away, escape bay'ah. No, he wanted to revolt against injustice. But what made Imam Hussein unique? Why didn't the other Imams revolt? Because he was able to find the supporters. So now he begins to search for the supporters. Amir al-Mu'mineen, in one hadith he just needed 20. The other hadith says he needed 40. How many did Imam Hussein need? He knew the people of Kufa will betray him. But he didn't need the people of Kufa for his revolution. To what? To make justice known. How many did Imam Hussein need? He just needed 70. Remember Imam al-Sadiq says, I just need 17? Imam al-Hussein just needed 70. When Imam al-Hussein secured those 70 people, this is when he decided to revolt. Had Imam Hussein not found those 70 people, loyal companions, he would have sat down, just like Imam Hassan, just like Amir al-Mu'mineen, just like Imam Zayn al-Abidin. Imam al-Hussein, what makes him exceptional and different from all the other Imams, and he revolted, is because he was able to find the loyal supporters on Karbala. That's why he revolted. So every Imam wants to revolt against the Zalim. But the condition is what? You have to have supporters. Rasulullah started the Sunnah until Imam al-Askari. Imam al-Hussein found those supporters. Subhanallah. Who were the supporters of Hussein, brothers and sisters? Tonight I want to speak to you about the loyalty of the companions of Imam Hussein, so that you know why Imam Hussein saw that he can rely on these supporters. The companions of Hussein are the greatest companions any Imam had. He says that himself. Al-Shaykh al-Mufid in his book Al-Irshad tells us about the loyalty of the companions of Hussein. Who does he narrate this from? From Al-Imam Zayn al-Abidin. Al-Shaykh al-Mufid says, Al-Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, it was the night of Ashura. Let us understand the position of the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, brothers and sisters. Al-Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, it was the night of Ashura, and I'm sick. I'm on the floor. I can hardly move, but I can hear what's going on. So I hear my father, Abu Abdullah. It's close to night time. He calls all of his companions, 70, some ahadith say 80, there's ahadith up to 140. 70 to 140 companions Imam Hussein alayhi salam had in Karbala. He called all of his companions, the Bani Hashim and the non-family companions. And then he gave a beautiful lecture. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, I was listening. He told them, my dear companions, tonight is the last night that these enemies will give us, because they arrived 2nd of Moharram. So it's already 1 week that they are in Karbala. So he told them, tonight will be the last night. Tomorrow they will start to fight us. And whoever stays with me will be killed. And that's why I have a request from you, my dear companions. I ask you to leave. Leave, it's nighttime, it's dark, they can't see you. Leave and save yourself, because these enemies want me. They'll only kill you if you stand in the way. But their target is me, so please save yourself and go. He tells this to all of his companions, including Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Shaykh al-Mufid says. He tells all of them, leave me alone, let me die alone. Look at the soft heart of Abu Abdullah. He does not want anyone to die that shouldn't die. And then Al-Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, when his companions heard these words, they showed loyalty that no companions had ever shown loyalty to their master. Allahu Akbar. These words that I will mention now are so inspirational. Wallahi, you never hear any of the companions of the Imam speak in this way, in this love, in this passion to their Imam. Yes, maybe there's a few exceptions. Imam Ali, some of his close companions. But in general, Imam Hussein alayhi salam was exceptional because his companions were exceptional. Who was the first one to rise? Al-Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas tells him, Abu Abdullah, I go and I save my life and you die? What's the point of living after you, Abu Abdullah? What do I do? What do I do with life if you're not there, if you're killed? Why would I want to live if you're not alive? Never will I leave you. After Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, the other members of Bani Hashim, one after the other, they all stood and said the same thing, never. Imam Zayn al-Abidin says, Aun and Muhammad, the two sons of Abdul, they stood, they said, our dear uncle, we will never ever leave you because life is not worth living after you. And then he turned towards the sons and the grandsons of Aqil, his uncle. He told them, as for you, you already gave a shaheed, Muslim ibn Aqil, you already gave a shaheed. That's enough. You guys can leave and save your life. These family of Aqil, they tell him, our dear Imam, how could we leave you? What will the people say about us that we left our master Hussein alone between the enemies? How will we greet Rasulullah on the day of judgment? قَبَّحَ اللَّهُ الْعَيْشِ بَعْدَكَ. Life is not worthy, life is ugly after you, Ya Aba Abdullah. Wallahi, we will never leave you until we sacrifice our lives, our blood for you, Ya Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. The Imam wanted to test. He wanted to test their loyalty. He wanted to see, are these individuals willing to wait and give their lives till the last minute or not? Or is it like his father, where they told him, we'll fight for you, but in the last minute they don't show up? So the Bani Hashim, they show their loyalty to Imam Hussein. Imam Zainul Abidin then continues. He says, then it was the turn for the companions of Hussein, who were the non-relatives. He says the first of them to rise was Muslim ibn Awsajah. Muslim ibn Awsajah, one of the greatest companions of Hussein and one of the first companions to be killed on the day of Ashura. Muslim ibn Awsajah, he stands up, he says, Aba Abdullah, how can we leave you? You are our Imam, you have such a great haqq on us. What will we tell your grandfather Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam? And then he says these powerful words that echo until eternity. He says, Wallahi ya Aba Abdullah, if I would be killed and then burned and then my ashes would be dispersed and then I would be revived and killed again and burned again, and I would be revived, this would be done to me 70 times, I would still support you. I would still give my life for you. 70 times I would not say no. Allahu Akbar. And then he said, it's only once, Ya Aba Abdullah. It's only one death that we will die with you. We're gonna die one day anyway. It's only one death, and after that it will be eternal glory with Rasulullah. So how can I leave you? Never will I leave you. Allahu Akbar. Look at the passion, the dedication of Muslim ibn Awsajah. Al-Imam Zainul Abidin says, then after Muslim ibn Awsajah, who stood up? Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, you know, he was not even a Shia of Ahlul Bayt. It was in the last couple of weeks before Ashura that he joined the camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, that he became a supporter of Imam Hussein. But look at how he transformed, that he showed this much knowledge and wisdom, this much dedication and passion. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn sees, Muslim says, if I am killed 70 times, I will still fight for you. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, he steps up the notch. He says, Ya Aba Abdullah, as for me, Wallahi, if I were to be killed and then revived, and then killed, and then revived, and then killed, and then revived 1,000 times, Wallahi, I would choose that over leaving you. Allahu Akbar. Ya Aba Abdullah, no way we will ever leave you, even if we get killed 1,000,000 times. This is the loyalty that Aba Abdullah shows. One of the companions of Aba Abdullah, Muhammad ibn Bashir al-Hadrami, while he was in Karbala, news reached him that his son, he has been taken as captive in Ray, in Iran, close to Tehran. He's been taken as a captive by some enemies. So now he's very disturbed. He's very disturbed, and the Imam saw him that he is very sad, and he began to tell himself, I wish I would have never heard this news. This is terrible news. The Imam came to him. He told him, Ya Muhammad, you have now your son to take care of. You have to deal with this ordeal. So I permit you to leave. Khalas, you did what you have to do. You showed your loyalty. You showed your love, your support. Now I let you go. Go and deal with your son. When he heard that, his tears came down. You know what he told Aba Abdullah al-Hussein? He told him, Aba Abdullah, may the wild animals eat me alive if I leave you here in Karbala alone. Wallahi, I will never leave you. Allahu Akbar. What loyalty, what passion these ashab had for their master, Mawla Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. And that's why Imam Zainul Abidin says, Imam al-Hussein, then he stood after he saw all these powerful words, inspirational words. He saw the loyalty. Imam Hussein told them, أما بعد فإني لا أعلم أصحابا خيرا ولا أوفى من أصحابي. He says, by Allah, I do not know of any companions that are greater and more loyal than you. Look at the testimony of Aba Abdullah. He knows Rasulullah had companions. He knows Imam Ali had companions. He knows Imam Hassan had companions. But he says that I don't know anyone that had such loyal and great companions like you. And then he tells his family members, and you truly have honored me today. And you truly have shown your passion for your master Aba Abdullah. Jazakumullah khairah. May Allah reward you in the best way. These were the companions of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. This is why Imam Hussein alayhi salam decided to revolt, because he knew he was surrounded by such men that would never ever leave Aba Abdullah. Muslim ibn Awsaja, the one who said, if I am killed 70 times, I will not leave you. Once he was fighting and he fell down. He was about to die in the day of Ashura. Imam Hussein comes to him with whom? With Habib ibn Mudahir. They come to him. Imam Hussein sees that Muslim ibn Awsaja is about to die. He can hardly breathe. He can hardly speak. He says, Rahimakallah, Ya Muslim, may Allah have mercy upon you for supporting me and giving everything you had for me. And then he reads the verse, فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ قَضَى نَحْبَهُ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَنْتَظِرُ. Amongst them are the ones that have died and the others are waiting. Meaning that you went to Allah and we will also join you in a few moments after that. After Imam Hussein says that, Habib ibn Mudahir comes down and he tells, Ya Muslim, Wallahi, you have made us proud today for what you have done. And then he tells him that you are going to paradise. Oh Muslim, how lucky are you? And if it wasn't for the fact that I will die right after you, I would have asked you to tell me your final wills that I can execute for you. Muslim ibn Awsaja, he could barely speak because he's bleeding to death. But then Muslim ibn Awsaja, he looks at Habib ibn Mudahir and he just tells him one thing before he dies. He points at Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. He says, I just have one thing to tell you, O Habib. Usika bihadha al-gharib khayra. Do not leave this gharib. As long as you're alive, protect him. Usika bihadha khayran hatta tamut. As long as there is any breath inside you, make sure you protect Aba Abdullah. Allahu Akbar. Look at the loyalty, the love, the passion. He's dying, but he's thinking about Hussein and who will support Hussein after him. These were the loyal companions of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. And amongst the companions of Hussein was a man by the name of Wahab al-Kalbi. Wahab al-Kalbi, it is said he was a convert. He was a convert, a Christian convert who had converted to Islam at the hands of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. And he had joined the camp of Hussein. He had joined Imam Hussein in Karbala along with his mother and his wife. It was the day of Ashura. Wahab al-Kalbi, subhanallah. This convert, look at how he inspires us. Look at how he shows us that even someone who most of his life, maybe he was not on the haqq, but then in the end of his life, he can turn towards Allah and become amongst the greatest companions of the Imam of his time. Wahab al-Kalbi seeks permission from Aba Abdullah al-Hussein and he goes to fight. His mother encourages him. She tells him, my dear son, go and fight for the grandson of Rasulullah. He goes and he fights. He kills some of the enemies. He comes back. He tells his mother, mother, have I made you proud? She says, no, not yet. You will make me proud once I see you dead on the floor. Once I see your blood shed for Aba Abdullah, this is when you make me proud, oh Wahab. Go and fight. The wife of Wahab, she was young. She did not want to become a widow. She came to Wahab. She told him, it's enough. You killed some of the enemies. Please don't go. I will be a widow after you. So she tries to discourage him. His mother tells him, don't listen to your wife. Go and fight for the son of Fatima. Give your life for the son of Fatima. Wahab, he went once again. He fought until someone someone, he cut his hands. After he saw his hand cut, all of a sudden he saw his wife. She picks up a spear and she comes towards Wahab to also fight alongside him, while she is saying, Ya Wahab, qatil dun at-tayyibin. Wahab, please fight alongside the pure ones. Please support Aba Abdullah al-Husayn. It is said that the wife of Wahab, she was later asked, what happened all of a sudden you changed your mind? You were saying you were discouraging him from going, but then all of a sudden you took a spear and you told him, no, give your life for Aba Abdullah. It is said that the wife of Wahab said, after Wahab went to the battlefield, I saw Aba Abdullah al-Husayn all alone crying out, Allah hal min nasirin yansuruni. Is there no one that wants to defend the grandson of Rasulullah? Allah hal min mu'inin yu'inuni. Is there no one that wants to come and protect the family of Rasulullah? She says, when I heard the words of Aba Abdullah, that broke my heart. I said, even I have to give my life for Aba Abdullah al-Husayn. Aywa Husayna, aywa mazluma. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. Brothers and sisters, let us raise our hands and supplicate to Allah. Let us raise our hands and invoke the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala 10 times together. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. Ya Allah, we ask you to hasten the reappearance of the Mawla, Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman. Make us amongst those lucky 313. Give us the ability and the tawfiq that we can become true Shia of Al-Imam al-Mahdi. And we ask you to make us amongst the martyrs under Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman standard. Anyone in our Majlis that has a haja, Ya Allah, we ask you to grant them their haja. Anyone that is sick, Ya Allah, we ask you to grant them full shifa. Grant us the ziyarah of Ahlul Bayt life. Let us end mu'mineen and mu'minat by reciting Surah Al-Fatiha for all the mu'mineen and mu'minat that have departed us, and especially our dear brother that we held the janazah today, the burial for him today, our dear brother Nasir, and all the other mu'mineen and mu'minat. Let us recite Surah Al-Fatiha for them after a loud salawat for Muhammad and Al-Muhammad.